All right, so introduction to Zoom Phone. How many people saw this session yesterday? Might be a bit of a repeat. All right, I apologize, but thank you for coming back. So today I'm going to go through what Zoom Phone is and get into a little bit of the details, and then we'll have Q&A towards the end. My name is Neil Livonius. I'm the head of product marketing for Zoom Phone. So, I like to start off with, asking the question, what is a business phone system? Where have we been? Where is it going? Talking to each other, it's been around for a long time, right? We've had phones for over 100 years at this point. And we've seen a lot of evolution, everything from just voice only with no voicemail, and then we started to add in features like voicemail, auto attendance, IVRs, and all of these great things. And then, about 20 years ago, we started to see IP, digital phones, come into place. We started to add more and more features. We started to allow people remotely join in and be able to participate. And then about 10 years ago, we saw this migration to the cloud, which brought down the cost, lowered the barrier of entry, and continued to innovate and provide more features for the customers. But the one thing we noticed was, as this was happening, we didn't, and this term unified communications came out, that everything was still pretty siloed. Even though I might have bought a unified communication solution that had phone, PBX, and said it could do messaging and collaboration and meetings and video, it didn't all come together quite right. So we would see our customers didn't quite have the adoption that we expected them to have. So, with Zoom and Zoom meetings and Zoom video for being out in the market now for 5 or 6 years, our customers, they love it. They use it all the time. We see great adoption rates on the desktop. They started to come to us a couple years ago and say, you know what? My employees love your solution. They don't like our phone system. They don't even use our PBX anymore. Can you just add that feature in? Seems like you've already done the heavy lifting. You've already done video. You do it at scale, and you do it well. So that's what we did. So we have this convergence now of the PBX and the video collaboration solution coming together. And we're not just bolting on another server or service, that we built Zoom Phone to be part of our platform. So when you look at the wheel, all of the things we're delivering now, video, chat, phone, our room solutions, are on the same platform. And then we take that platform and we expose all of the APIs through our app marketplace so you can embed our capabilities into your own applications. And so what we're doing with Zoom Phone is helping you transform your traditional voice-first solution into a video-first collaboration suite that still accommodates all of the traditional use cases that you would come to expect from a PBX, but then adds in everything else and provides that single unified app experience. So from an administration perspective, as part of the Zoom ecosystem, you manage it in the Zoom admin portal. It's not a separate application. It's not a separate platform you have to worry about. Now, we know we have to deliver it with high security and reliability because the expectation with voice and with PBX specifically is it can't go down, right? People's lives sometimes depend on it. If there's an emergency, I can't dial 911, that's an issue. So we understand that. So that's why we've built it and we've architected it to be high reliability. So what can it do? You've only been in market for a few months, 9 months. Is it really all of that? Well, yeah. It has all of the traditional features of a PBX. Everything from intelligent call routing, which includes auto attendance, auto receptionist, call queues, ACD. It's there because we know that's what's required. Mobile and desktop applications. So the Zoom application, when you become a Zoom Phone customer, it's just another feature within the existing application. We don't require your users to learn something new. It's just another feature that gets turned on inside of the existing app. And that app works everywhere. Understanding the need for voicemail, but you know what? We don't want to just do voicemail. We want to make it better. So making sure that voicemail, that we support visual voicemail, that it appears on the apps, and your desk phone if you still want that traditional experience, but also making sure that it has transcription because nobody listens to voicemail anymore, right? That's boring. So just being able to read, and then I can make a decision if I actually want to return the call or send a chat, email, or a video message. And then the voicemail can be delivered to email and not only with the attachment, but with that transcription as well. Call recording is built in. If you can do voicemail, you can do call recording. When we first launched the product, we did on-demand call recording. Last week's release, we also added in full-time automatic call recording. HD voice is something important to us. People know the quality of Zoom meetings. We needed to make sure that that same quality experience was on the voice side, on the phone side. So that's what we've done. It is secured, and I'll talk a little bit about how we're doing that later. And then my favorite bullet is standards-based interoperability. We don't want to lock you into proprietary devices. When you think about how ShoreTel, Mitel, Avaya, and all these other whatever tells usually did business, that they always forced you to buy their proprietary handsets, which made it very sticky, right? Became difficult and became expensive if you wanted to migrate away. So you're almost handcuffed to these boat anchors that were sinking you essentially. So when you move to a standards-based system, we're providing you with protection that if you want to migrate away at some point, those devices can come with you. Since we announced 12 months ago at Zoomtopia last year, we've done a lot. We announced beta last October. In January, we went general availability. And since then, we've had 5 major releases already. So listening to our customers, finding out where the feature gaps were, where was the pent-up demand, what do we need to do to make it the right solution for you, and then taking that to heart and innovating at a rapid pace. So these 5 major releases have delivered a lot. We've expanded into 4 countries with 3 more coming next month. So we'll be at 7 within the next 30 days. And then making sure we can provide support for all of those traditional devices if you still need them. So we support over 50 devices today. And we're already processing millions of minutes per week. With the customer logos that you saw, it's just a small sampling of the success we've seen in the past 9 months. And then, people always come up to me and it's like, only 9 months in, so you're probably just doing well in small companies, right? SMB. What about large enterprise? You're probably not ready for that. And what we're actually seeing is, yeah, of course, we're designing for everybody. We're not just an upmarket company. We're not just a downmarket, mass market SMB company. We want to be the right solution for everybody. And so we've already seen that in the traction since we've launched, that 40% of our customer base are large upmarket companies that have 1,000 or more employees, and then also doing equally well in the SMB space. Our largest deployment to date, when people ask how is it doing, we have one of our biggest customers already has 10,000 Zoom phones deployed, whether a license on the desktop app or using traditional phones, and that's in a single account. So we're already seeing traction in very large enterprise. And it's because of that single app experience. A lot of times our customers come to us, say, we have Zoom meetings deployed. We see 86% adoption of your application. We love it. On average, that's what we see is 86% adoption of video. That when they say, well, can we just turn on Zoom Phone? We say, absolutely. They turn it on, and it's already deployed because everybody already has the app on the desktop. So the training is minimalized, and most of the work is done on the back end as they port numbers over from their existing solution, et cetera. And the beauty of this app, and now that we are completely unified with that UC experience, that I can traverse all these different communication modalities, that if I want to go from a chat to a phone call to a meeting, back to a phone call to a chat, I can do it all within one instance. So let's say I'm talking to somebody and I want to begin sharing content. I don't have to say, well, let's hang up and dial into this bridge, or let me send you a link to join a Zoom meeting. I can elevate it right into a meeting with a single click of a button, and then everybody has that same Zoom meeting experience without requiring people to hang up and dial back into a separate bridge. I don't expect everybody to memorize this. This is not the DMV doing an eye test. But this is just an example of some of the features that we've delivered over the past 9 months. I believe we've delivered over 200 features, so we're becoming pretty mature from a PBX perspective. And we did it very quickly. Everything from the call recording that I mentioned earlier to call queues, ACD, the administration capabilities, large account management, importing bulk numbers, SSO support, et cetera. So we've really invested a lot of time and resources into making sure we can do this right. And at the same time, we're not just trying to reinvent the PBX. We take a careful look at every use case to make sure that we're doing it in the Zoom fashion, that We're innovating, we're making it easy, we're removing as much friction as possible from the features, and we're not just delivering a feature because somebody put it in an RFP. We want to understand what the use case was so we can deliver it with quality. Going back to my favorite thing about proprietary devices, that when we initially launched, we launched with Poly and Yealink. Since then, we've added a lot more vendors and a lot more devices. So now we're not just supporting phones. This week, we launched support for algo and cyber data devices. We have overhead paging. So if you are in retail or education or healthcare where you still need the overhead paging systems and intercom, that's taken care of. Of course, we have conference phones. But you know what? If you have a Zoom room, you don't even need to buy a conference phone anymore because you can add Zoom phone to your Zoom room to make outbound calls. So if you want your Zoom room now to have a public number that people can dial into or from, that is also supported. People do ask, what about contact center? Are you going to start getting into contact center? No. But we want to partner with the best. So back in March, we announced partnerships with Twilio Flex specifically, as well as Five9. And it's worked out great. Some of our customers came back to us and said, well, we're not a customer of theirs yet. What about InContact and Genesys and TalkDesk? So that demand, we reached out, we worked with them, and now I'm also happy to say that they're part of our contact center program. And what this does, this isn't just like a marketing partnership, that we like to do sometimes. This is real integration. So the logos that you see on here, our networks are now peered together. We've developed network peering so we can transfer calls from Zoom Phone to the contact center without having to go out through the service provider. So it saves money, it adds more security, better quality, because everything is staying on net between our clouds. And when you need to route a call to a contact center, we've made it very simple. That now when you set up Five9 integration, for example, if you go to our auto attendant and you're developing, your press 1 for sales, press 2 for support, press 3 for the operator, or however you decide to design it, a destination can now be not only one of our own ACD queues or a user. You can also set a contact center partner as one of the destinations, routing destinations. So it's very powerful, but we've made it very simple because you don't have to configure all the SIP routing, trunking, all of the things that you would have to do in the legacy world. We've already done that for you because we've established relationships. We know how to send a call to Five9. It's very simple. So we've taken all of the mystery out of it for you. You just put in your pilot number of your queue on Five9, and it just gets there. By the way, if you want to learn more about this, we do have a session this afternoon on the contact center partnerships, and we're going to do a deep dive into how they work and what the benefits and capabilities are. Salesforce integration. So if you're talking about contact center, you got to talk about CRM, right? We did build our own native Salesforce integration. It's very seamless and out of the box. We do everything that you would expect. Click to dial a contact record. When you click to dial a contact, we'll also create an activity record. So the user doesn't have to go in and record that, manually record that I made a phone call, right? Because they'll forget, they won't do it. Salespeople are lazy sometimes. So we help automate that as much as possible. If it's an inbound call, we'll search for that record in CRM. We'll try to do a caller ID match. If we find the record, we'll pop it, and then also create the activity log. If there's no caller ID match, we'll create a new record within Salesforce to make it very easy to input the data. We'll pre-populate the phone number because we know it. Then the salesperson or whoever's using CRM can go in and add the rest of the information in. So it's an example of some of the integrations we're starting to bring to market. How many people in here are in IT? All right, most of you, right? So dashboards, we love our dashboards because it helps us understand what's going on in the system. How many people here already use the Zoom dashboard for meetings and rooms? So phone is now just another tab in the Zoom dashboard, and we're providing the same type of information. It's real time, so if there's calls in progress, you get to see the status of all the calls in progress. We track all of the network information that you need to troubleshoot and diagnose issues that might be going on. Packet loss, latency, jitter, et cetera, are tracked. It's reported on. We actually score every single call. We assign a MOS score to every call. So anything above a 3.5 MOS score is generally considered a good business quality call. Right now, internally, what we're tracking is we're averaging around 4.3 to give you an example of the quality we're providing on Zoom Phone. We're continuing to expand on features. This may sound like an old, boring feature, shared line appearance, but when you think about the way we implemented it, it's not just shared line appearance. People say, well, great, you can park a call and I can answer it from another phone, right? My key system from 50 years ago could do that. But what we're doing is using it for a lot more than just parking calls. I can also use it to transfer calls between my devices. Let's say I'm on my mobile phone, I can transfer it to my desk phone, I can transfer it to a room, I can transfer it to my executive admin if I've been given them rights to be a delegate on my behalf. So this is an example of when you look at a traditional PBX feature that we're not just copying what everybody else has already done. We want to look at it, make it better, and simplify it. And getting to that call flip that I was just talking about, now that the cloud enables us to support mobile devices, remote workers, it's very easy. You can't really do that with a premise solution unless you understand and want to expose your on-premise PBX to the outside world and having to set up NAT traversal and all these other things, right, that none of us like to do. So using call flip, we understand that the traditional use case or the primary use case now is, let's say I'm in my car, I'm commuting, or I'm coming back from lunch, I'm late, I gotta take the call. So I begin the call, and then as I'm walking into the office, I probably don't want to stay on my mobile phone. Most people will because that's what they're used to, but now you don't have to. So I can go to my desk, I can transfer that call very seamlessly and easily to my desk, or if it's a more sensitive call and I need to go into a conference room, I can transfer it right to the Zoom room. And we use our proximity detection like we do for meetings and for desktop sharing in the room. We use the same thing to flip the call to the Zoom room, as you might have seen during our keynote yesterday. We also understand that when remote workers are using Zoom Phone, that not the available LTE quality or 4G, 5G network isn't always the best. So if I'm going through a dead spot and I started the call using the Zoom Phone app, using voice over IP, that I might need to flip it to a cellular call or to a PSTN call. So we now have that feature as of last week. If you've updated your Zoom Phone app and you're a Zoom Phone customer now, you should see this. And so what I can do is transfer that call to a cellular call. So it eliminates any quality problems I might be experiencing with that voice over LTE or 4G, 5G. Have it on my call, rely on the cellular network, but I'm not just stuck to transferring it to my cell phone. I can actually, let's say I live out in the country, I have limited cell service, I could transfer it to my home phone number. I can transfer the call to any PSTN number. And what's nice is it's still looping through the Zoom Phone solution, so you still have reporting and analytics, and you're still tracking. It's still a Zoom Phone call, even though it's now being delivered to a third-party PSTN number. So security, we do understand that it needs to be secure. You don't want people eavesdropping, spoofing, doing any of those things. So we are using TLS authentication for the SIP signaling. We are using SRTP to encrypt the media. All of our peering agreements with all of our carrier providers on the back end where we route our PSTN calls to are all done through direct peering over private network connections. All of our data is encrypted at rest. And we also understand for other countries where we are providing Zoom service, if there is data sovereignty requirements, that we are storing the data within countries where required by law. And of course, redundancy. So our architecture is an active architecture, and it is distributed globally. So that way, if there is an outage at a data center, all of the calls are rerouted to another data center on the fly. Usually, if you are a customer, you don't realize that we've made a switch if there was an outage, because it happens within a second. So let's talk about PSTN delivery. So Zoom is your phone company, essentially. We can provide you with phone numbers. If you have phone numbers, you can port them over to the Zoom solution. We provide toll-free numbers, extra numbers if needed, and we support E911 where required by law. We sell Zoom through unlimited and metered calling plans. So we actually don't sell the feature itself. There's no Zoom Phone license. It's just there. But where we do monetize is on the calling plan. So you just add a calling plan to the users that you would like to light up with Zoom Phone. But the question is, what if I have offices outside of your current countries? Or what if I really love my current service provider? Maybe you love AT&T, British Telecom, Telefonica, Tata, whoever you're using, we're okay with that, because not only do we give you the option of using one of our own calling plans, you can bring over your existing carrier and connect your carrier to the Zoom Phone Cloud PBX. So what we allow you to do is to redirect those SIP trunks coming into your on-premise solution to the Zoom Cloud and bypass our native calling plans. So this gives you a lot of flexibility in deciding how you want to provide that PSTN service to your users. And it also gives you the ability to light up Zoom Phone in countries that we don't even support yet. So essentially, Zoom Phone is now available in the entire, throughout the world. In addition to allowing you to redirect those existing SIP trunks, we also announced this week direct peering with service providers. So instead of having to deploy an SBC to redirect those SIP trunks from your existing on-premise PBX, we can work with carriers like GTT and Voxbone, and there's going to be others coming in the near future, where we're going to do direct peering. We're creating a carrier exchange, if you will, where you can sign up for Zoom Phone, and then as you're provisioning Zoom Phone, choose the service provider you want to provide PSTN access. Zoom will always be there as an alternate, as your primary. You can choose us to do that, but if you are more comfortable with a third-party service provider, we're going to allow you to choose that right within the Zoom Phone product. So we're starting to do that with GTT and Voxbone today, and then we're going to be adding additional service providers over time. The way we go to market, as I mentioned, we don't sell a Zoom Phone license. The features are there. We do enable calling plans. So you buy one of our calling plans, or you buy a carrier calling plan and bring it to the Zoom Cloud. We provide unlimited calling and metered calling plans. You can mix and match them. So some of your users that probably don't make a lot of phone calls, just put them on a metered plan, right? Because they don't make calls all the time. But for your heavier volume callers, you can put them on an unlimited country calling plan. The pricing here is for quantity one. So most people here probably qualify for volume discounting, et cetera. So talk to your salespeople. Don't talk to me about it. But this is usually what we publish. We also offer calling minute bundles. So if you make a lot of international calling and you want a discount based on volume commit, we'll give you a discount. Let's talk about innovation. So I mentioned earlier that we've had 5 major releases since January. We had the January release in March. We rolled out the contact center program, Elevate the Meeting, and a couple other enhancements, zero-touch provisioning to make that device management very easy. In May, Bring Your Own Carrier, which we just talked about. We launched UK and Australia as a part of our beta program, and we exceeded the 50 device number. And then since then, July was another major release when the UK and Australia went general availability. Started to roll out things like E911 activation, so that way if somebody on your account dials 911, you could set an IT group or a security group or an HR group to be notified that somebody had just made an emergency call, and we continue to enhance the platform. Last week, we rolled out several significant features like the shared line appearance, automatic call recording, shared voicemail, Linux app support. How many people here support Linux users? How many people's existing PBX has a Linux app? We do. We also rolled out VDI support for people that are running in virtualized environments. For the remainder of this year through January 2020, we're going to be rolling out global dial plan support. So people that are not going to cut over 100% to Zoom Phone right away, but need to operate in a hybrid mixed environment with some legacy PBX equipment and with Zoom Phone, we're going to be able to SIP tie line and then have a global dial plan, so you have extension dialing between all of the solutions. So we're trying to remove as much friction when people communicate within your organizations. And then we're going to be updating and enhancing our 911 support to include dynamic E911 routing. I'm not sure if people are familiar with E911, but when you do make a phone call, we're required in the US to provide an address. Where is that call originating from? Today, most companies, it's a static address, right? So you either put in your headquarter address. If I'm a remote worker, I put in my home address. But with mobility now, I could be anywhere making that call. And we all know our users are not going to update that address every time they change locations. So we're adding in the ability to update that 911 address dynamically based on IP address mapping and geo mapping. So as we start to wrap up this overview, Zoom Phone, it is a modern phone system. It is a cloud PBX. We do support devices. People do ask me, do you really support devices? Yeah, Poly, Yealink, Cisco, audio code phones. They all work. You can connect and preserve that traditional phone experience if you have users that aren't ready to go to a soft phone on the desktop or using the mobile device to work. And we've made it very simple to manage. It is centralized. It's just another tab in the Zoom admin portal. Everything is there to manage it at scale with the secure and reliability that you would expect from a company like us. So with that, I'll pause, open it up for questions. And any questions? No? You're all experts? All right, thank you, one.
I really like the Salesforce integration you have. Thank you. I really like the Salesforce integration you have. Our support department does a lot with Zendesk as well. Is there any integration with Zendesk, or is that planned?
Yes, we have a roadmap of native integration into additional CRM packages like Zendesk. You might see a ServiceNow integration, some others coming in over the next 6 to 12 months. But if you can't wait that long, we do publish a lot of our APIs in the app marketplace. So depending on if you have the in-house resources to build it, or if you have an ISV partner that could help get you there sooner, we're more than happy to also get to help you with that. So yeah, we'll continue to innovate, develop our own native integrations, but at the same time, we're going to provide the API so you can build it yourself.
One thing that really excited me yesterday was the announcement of the transcriptions. Any plans for transcription with Zoom phones?
So our plan is to make sure call recordings are transcribed, just like we do with voicemail. But are you asking for real-time transcription? So real-time transcription, we would elevate the call into a meeting, then you would have real-time transcription. And when you elevate a call to a meeting, you don't have to go to video. You could stay as an audio-only participant in a meeting and then have access to the live transcriptions. Question? Up front.
Yes, does Zoom sell the handsets themselves?
No, we don't.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so the question was, do we resell the handsets? No, we send you to one of the vendors' VARs.
Okay.
Yeah. Question?
Do you support any of the tells as far as devices like ShoreTel phones, MyTel phones?
Yeah, so most of those devices are proprietary to ShoreTel, MyTel, whatever tel. So we don't. You would have to use that PBX as a gateway. There are ways to kludge it together, but natively supporting them, unless they support the standard SIP stack, we can't. So, which brings up a good point. So I mentioned we had 50 plus certified devices that you can do zero-touch provisioning, connect them, et cetera. If you have a device that's not on our list, but it is a SIP standard device, we do allow third-party SIP devices to connect. The difference is you may not have full feature support, and we'll do best efforts to help you get it up and running, but if we can't make it work, we're not going to guarantee that a third-party phone works. But you're more than welcome to try.
Also mentioned is real-time analytics, so live calls, you can see jitter, latency.
Yep.
Is there any tools built in to address the issues, or is it just pointing out what's wrong? So
Yeah, we help you diagnose where the issues might be. Yep.
Maybe using a hybrid of Cisco phones and soft phones, could we get away from Call Manager using your solution?
Absolutely.
We're
So
very, very weak with Call Manager. We have one person who does it in an enterprise, and we hold our breath every time he delves into it.
yeah, so that's why we're here. We're here to help, right? We're here to ease your pain. So we give you a couple different options. You can completely rip out Call Manager,
Yeah.
or if that is maybe a little daunting at first and you want to do a phased migration, we offer a couple things. You can keep Call Manager, run it in parallel with phone, and then we can interconnect Zoom Phone with Call Manager, and you can start to migrate users over. So we've done that today with a lot of our existing customers. One other thing I didn't really get into, and I know this is probably going to raise a lot of hands now, is we also went GA last week with the ability to have the Zoom Phone soft phone, that's part of our app, act as a third-party SIP endpoint to Call Manager, and not connect to Zoom Phone at all, but to connect directly to Call Manager and Avaya. We don't have a lot of customers doing that because, frankly, Cisco and Avaya cripple the features that are available to third-party endpoints. But we do have a few that use that as a migration step, as a stepping stool. If they want to turn off Jabber and go to Zoom as their chat, meetings, and soft phone connected to Call Manager, we do have some people doing that today. question in the back.
To kind of follow up with that similar thing, say you've got call manager at one site, another site is on Avaya, you move them over to Zoom Phone. With that integration, can we do, say, 4-digit dialing to the Zoom Phone site?
Not today, but the global dial plan feature that was on my feature list to be delivered next quarter or within 2019 will allow you to do that. That's what it is. It's normalizing an extension dialing plan across your entire organization, and it helps add transparency to the end user, which platform or PBX that the user they're trying to reach is on. They just dial the extension, and then we'll handle the routing.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? One over here up front.
So earlier on in your presentation, you mentioned availability in geographies. So I'm sure you get asked this a lot, but we have operations in both India and China. Just wondering when full Zoom capability will be in either of those regions, or even bringing your own carrier?
Yeah, it's everybody's favorite question to ask, right? It's
Someone had to ask it.
India and China are probably two of the three most difficult countries to become a communication service provider and doing the local regulatory requirements and the government requirements. I will tell you we're in process with both countries. We don't have a date to announce when it will become available. We're hoping sooner rather than later. But as you know, doing business in both those countries, anything can happen at the last minute. So I'm not going to say it's going to be available tomorrow or this quarter or January, but I will say we're hoping very soon.
Hey, on the bring your own carrier option, is there any list of SBC that you require for?
Yeah, so good question. So today we've officially certified audio code SBCs. We provide provisioning guides and documents on how to do that. We are also in process with several other SBC vendors. So even though we haven't technically certified them, we have customers using Ribbon and Oracle, et cetera.
One more add-on. I'm assuming we probably eliminate our bridging, our AT&T bridging conference solutions that are very clunky and lousy.
Yeah. Absolutely. You don't even need Zoom Phone to do that. You can do that with meetings. Yep. We have a lot of customers. That's where they start usually, and then roll out from there. Yeah. Any other?
Can Zoom be assigned to a certain group within the Zoom account, or is it all or nothing?
No, it's mix and match. We have people that use Zoom Phone only for their conference rooms, maybe, so they have the ability to dial PSTN numbers, or maybe just for a specific group of users. So you can take a small department, maybe only your executives or whatever. We leave it up to you. It's not all or nothing. And so Zoom Phone can be assigned to a few users, and then even within those few Zoom Phone users, you can decide if they're metered or unlimited, so you can mix and match the calling plans within that group.
Tied to a toll-free number?
Absolutely. Yeah, he asked if we could do toll-free numbers, yeah. Any other questions? All right, day 2 of Zoomtopia, halfway there. Thank you, everybody.